Good afternoon, and welcome to the virtual 40th celebration of the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center. My name is Natalka Firko.
And I am Yulia Stupin, and we are your Masters of Ceremonies this afternoon. Вітаємо вас на віртуальному святкуванні 40-ліття Українського освітнього культурного центру.
This celebration is dedicated to honoring the former presidents and our biggest major donor for all of their dedication and contributions to the center throughout our 40 years of existence. Це святкування присвячене вшанованню колишніх президентів та нашого найбільшого головного донора за всі їхні відданості та внески в центр протягом усіх наших 40 років існування.
We'd like to begin our program with the procession of flags. Joining us will be members from the Organization for Defense of Four Freedoms for Ukraine, plus Ukrainian Scouting Organization, Ukrainian American Youth Association, Ukrainian American Veterans Post 1, and the Society of Ukrainian Insurgent Army. They are accompanied by the musical talents of banduriste Shablyi Kobzarів. Shablyi Kobzarів, under the direction of Halina Bodnar, is a group of young men who play the Ukrainian national instrument, the bandura. Throughout history, the bandura has become a symbol of Ukraine through its delicate sound and passionate message. Shablyi Kobzarів continue the tradition and respectfully carry on the legacy of the Kobzari. Ми б хотіли розпочати нашу програму з внесенням прапорів, і це нам допоможуть зробити організації, які є частиною нашого центру.
Вітаємо Український освітній культурний центр.
Welcome to the 40th anniversary of the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center.
Запрошуємо на наше свято.
Please join us for prayers and greetings made by Archbishop Metropolitan Boris Gudyak of the Ukrainian Catholic Archieparchy of Philadelphia. Запрошуємо вас до спільної молитви.
В ім'я Отця і Сина, і Святого Духа. Амінь. Господи Боже, Ти появився мироносицям, апостолам, тепер і нам, вознісся на небо, піднімаєш Ти впалого Адама. Благослови наш культурний центр з нагоди його 40-ліття. Винагороди всіх засновників, провадь всіх провідників і працівників, гуртуй наші організації, об'єднуй наш народ, благослови всю молодь, всіх дітей, всіх, які беруть участь у заняттях нашого культурного центру. Благослови його на многі і благі літа. В ім'я Отця і Сина, і Святого Духа. Амінь. Дорогі сестри і брати, я дякую всім, які протягом цих 40 років так прекрасно, творчо, об'єднано працюєте, працювали і будете працювати для добра людей. Нехай Господь благословить всі наші організації, які об'єдналися, всіх їхніх членів, а зокрема нашу молодь і наших дітей у нашому Філадельфійському культурному центрі. Многое літа нашому центру, многое літа всім вам. Слава Ісусу Христу!
The Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center, also known as the UECC, or the Center, has been closed to the public for over 12 months now. But during this time, we have been getting a lot of work done. We are coming to you from our newly renovated clubroom Cheremos, funded by the Cheremos Hutzul Society of Philadelphia. We anticipate the room will be open to the public very soon. На даний час ми знаходимося у нашому новому приміщенні клубу Черемош, яке було профінансовано Гуцульським товариством Черемош у Філадельфії. The virtual program book is available to you now online. In it, you will find the biographies and accomplishments of our former presidents, as well as information about all of our performers in both Ukrainian and English. Being respectful of your time, we will be presenting the program in English. If you visit our website, www.ueccphila.org, and open the link to the program book, you can follow along in Ukrainian. As a thank you to everyone who made a donation to our celebration today, we have programs available for you. Програмна книжка доступна вам зараз в інтернеті. У ньому ви знайдете біографії та досягнення наших колишніх президентів, а також інформацію про всіх наших виконавців як українською, так і англійською мовами. З повагою, ставляючись до вашого часу, ми представлятимемо програму англійською мовою. Як подяку всім, хто зробив пожертву на наше сьогоднішнє свято, ми надрукували доступні програми для вас.
Throughout the program, you will be entertained by many performances by our very own local talent. All of the performers have ties to our center. They are either a program of the center, a dedicated renter, a regular visitor, or supporter. We hope you enjoy our celebration show. Протягом усієї програми вас розважатимуть багато виступів наших місцевих талантів. Всі виконавці пов'язані з нашим центром. Вони або програма центру, відданий орендар, постійні відвідувачі або прихильники. Ми сподіваємось, що вам сподобається наша святкова програма. Our first performance is by the Volozhky School of Ukrainian Dance. The Volozhky School was founded in 1973 by Dr. Zoya Graur-Korsun. The mission of the school is both artistic and cultural, educating the Ukrainian community and the general public about the art of Ukrainian dance and the culture of the Ukrainian people. Throughout their 48 years of existence, the school has welcomed and educated over 1,000 students. Volozhky is celebrating their 50th anniversary next year. The current director of the Volozhky School is Larisa Spisic. Запрошуємо школу Volozhky Performing Group з танцем «Привіт».
The Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center was founded in 1980 by a group of young parents and community organizations who wanted to purchase a facility so that Ridna Shkola, the Ukrainian Saturday language school, could have a permanent home. At the time, Ridna Shkola was renting a Philadelphia public school to hold its classes, but it had received notice that the rental would no longer be possible. This situation was the primary motivation for the purchase of a building, but it later mushroomed to include plans for a community home. Taking initiative for the school, Roma Selak and Yarina Telepko, who was also a realtor, found a vacant elementary school built circa 1930 with approximately 6 acres of land for sale on 700 Cedar Road in Jenkintown, Abington Township. Assisting them were Roman Kohut, Yurko Daniliu, Jaromir Kindrachuk, and Nila and Boris Pauluk. In December of 1979, a community committee was formed from various Ukrainian organizations to determine how to proceed with the project plan. 50 representatives from the committee met at the Trezub Ukrainian American Sports Center in Philadelphia to discuss the feasibility of the prospective purchase and ultimately approved it. During the meeting, Dr. Ivan Skelchuk spoke eloquently about the need for a community building and school. The officers elected at the meeting were Dr. Alexander Bielik, Yarka Telepko, Anila Pauluk, and Dr. Stercho and Dr. Vasil Selak. A community activist and leader, Dr. Alexander Chernik, was asked to spearhead the project along with the other members of the committee, Dr. Ivan Skelchuk, Nila Pauluk, Jaromir Kindrachuk, and 8 general members. The committee solicited the Ukrainian community for donations to purchase the school. The mission was fruitful, and the school was purchased for $375,000.
Dr. Chernik and many others like him envisioned building and creating a center where not only children could come to learn about their cultural background, but it could also become a home for the entire community to gather and participate in a multitude of activities. Dr. Chernik also wanted everyone to feel that she were owners or shareholders of the center in an atmosphere of enthusiasm and generosity for everyone, young and old. On February 22, 1980, the UECC was incorporated as a nonprofit organization and by September of that year received IRS Code 501c3 status. A board of directors was formed on October 19, 1980, comprising of 24 members from the Ukrainian community. Dr. Chernik was elected president and continued serving for almost 10 years. His dream was realized as the center was becoming a veritable umbrella of Ukrainian life under one roof. Many organizations joined the UECC in October 1981. The founding members worked diligently in writing the bylaws and organizing every aspect of the institution. The official dedication of UECC and ribbon-cutting ceremony took place on September 19, 1981. On this occasion of our 40th anniversary, the UECC Board of Directors would like to honor the UECC presidents for their vision, drive, and work with their boards of directors, community organizations, the UECC members, donors, renters, volunteers, staff, and supporters. It is also appropriate at this time to honor the center's longest-standing financial supporter, the Ukrainian Self-Reliance Federal Credit Union, Kreditivka Samopomich. Today, we pay tribute to them all.
Dr. Alexander Chernik was born in Lviv, Ukraine, and immigrated to the United States with his family in the late 1940s. From an early age, he was active in the Plast Ukrainian Scouting Organization, holding key leadership roles. He was in the U.S. Army Reserves, finished pre-medical studies at LaSalle College, and went on to study medicine at Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, where he earned a master's degree in surgery, as well as his doctorate in medicine and surgery. Dr. Chernik then joined the Ukrainian Medical Association of North America, where he served as president of the Philadelphia branch for an extended period of time. In addition to having his own practice, Dr. Chernik was the head of the surgery department at Norristown Suburban General Hospital. Additionally, he trained surgical residents and was Vice Dean of Education of the Osteopathic College of Medicine of Philadelphia. He was an active member of various international, national, state, and city organizations, many of which were of Ukrainian ethnicity. Dr. Chernik was one of the founders of the UECC. He was chosen as the institution's first president, and under his leadership and vision, almost all of the Ukrainian organizations of the Philadelphia area made the UECC their home. He helped initiate programs for adults, youth, and children there, and went on to oversee the payment of the umbrella organization's financial obligations. After deciding to leave the post of UECC president, Dr. Chernik remained an active member of the board of directors. In 1991, Philadelphia's Ukrainian community saw the establishment of the Ukrainian Federation of America at the initiative of Dr. Chernik, the mission of which was and continues to be help for the people of Ukraine. He also rallied the U.S. Congress to help create the Ukrainian Caucus, which provided to be of tremendous help to the Ukrainian embassy and Ukraine overall. He developed mutually beneficial community relationships with other ethnic groups, like Polish, Jewish, and others in Philadelphia. He worked with Philadelphia city officials to secure grants for the financing of numerous programs at the UECC, among them the Ukrainian Library, the Ukrainian American Association of Senior Citizens, and Social Services. He also worked tirelessly with the City of Philadelphia and Montgomery County to find a way to establish a long-term care facility for Ukrainian seniors. Having been recognized at many levels of the USA and Ukrainian government for his personal involvement in the strengthening of relations between the two countries, Dr. Chernik met an untimely death at the age of 61. In September 2001, the board of directors of the UECC honored the benefaction and life's work of Dr. Chernik by naming the UECC prime gathering space the Alexander B. Chernik Gallery. His great legacy can be seen as the unifying of Ukrainian Americans of the greater Philadelphia area, spiritually in their work as well as physically, under one roof at the UECC on Cedar Road in Jenkintown.
We'd like to welcome the Ukrainian Learning Center for Children, or as some might know it, Svitlichka, for a special greeting. Svitlichka Ukrainian Cooperative Nursery School started in 1963 in order to provide a supervised and playful atmosphere for children of Ukrainian heritage. Today, as one of the center's 4 programs, the ULCC operates as a fully licensed Ukrainian daycare for over 70 children, ranging from ages 12 months to 6 years. Its mission is to fully immerse children in Ukrainian culture, heritage, tradition, and language, with multicultural awareness and respect for diversity. Нам приємно запросити наших наймолодших виконавців, дітей Світлички.
У Філадельфії садочок є, Світлички його звати. Усіх обійми, всіх діток радий він приймати. Акий гарний у нас дім, це ні батьківська оселя, теплота і затишок у нім, то діти безпечні і веселі. Це для українських діток в далекім краю від рідної землі збудували, оберігали наші бабусі і дідусі. Хай українська ця оселя стане рідним домом, хай зустрічатись будуть земляки, щоб своє коріння роду не згубити і рідну мову свою завжди берегти. І журавлі колесують, саду черешенька цвіте, вечерять мама кличе.
нагоди 40-літнього ювілею Українському освітньо-культурному центрові шле український садочок «Світличка». Бажаємо процвітання, сили, нових творчих ідей для розбудови та розвитку рідних стін, твердої основи майбутньості, у величне українське сьогодення і завтра. Вітаємо!
Є багато країн на землі, в них озера, ріки і долини. Є країни великі і малі, та найкраща для нас – Україна. Ми, українці Філадельфії, маємо велику можливість збиратися в будинку, який називається Український освітньо-культурний центр. Хочу привітати дирекцію Українського центру нашим ювілеєм. Вітаю всіх вас і всіх нас, хто ходить до Українського центру. Тут ми збираємося для того, щоб відчувати себе українцями, щоб святкувати наші свята. Тут навчаються наші діти. Шановні українці, прошу вас, підтримуйте Український центр. Це майбутнє для наших дітей та внуків.
Дозвольте вас від всього серця привітати з такою великою річницею. Сьогодні для мене є великою честю, як представника України в штаті Пенсильванія, почесного консула, привітати вас, а також зачитати вам привітання від нашої надзвичайної та повноважної посла України в Сполучених Штатах, посла Маркарової. Шановна дирекція Українського культурного центру в місті Дженкінтаун, Пенсильванія, дорога українська громадо, від імені дипломатів Посольства України в США та від себе особисто сердечно вітаю вас 40-ю річницею від заснування Українського культурного центру, який за довгі роки свого існування став справжньою домівкою численної української громади Великої Філадельфії. Сотні виставок, концертів, благодійних, наукових та освітньо-культурних заходів, штаб-квартира для багатьох українських громадських організацій, велика бібліотека, дитячий садочок та найбільша суботня школа українознавства. Вони всі знані на все східне узбережжя. Хори Прометей та Аколада, танцювальний колектив Волошки – все це є культурний український центр міста Дженкінтаун. Наша щира подяка і низький уклін вам за 40 років копіткої праці і збереженням національної самобутності українців Америки, підтримання українських традицій, мови, культури та мистецтва. Користуючись цією нагодою, щиро бажаю вам всім добра, злагоди, тепла, родинного благополуччя, а Україні та Америці – миру і процвітання. З повагою до вас, посол Оксана Маркарова.
Ridna Shkola was born in Krakow, Poland, and came to the United States in 1950 with his family. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and a master's degree from Drexel University. He was an adjunct professor of electrical engineering at Drexel while working for Universal Automatic Computer, or UNIVAC, as a director of special projects. He is co-author of the computer system Computer Voice Response Systems, patented by UNIVAC. Additionally, Mr. Zakharchuk has been a successful business entrepreneur in his own right. Since 1960, he has been a member of the Society of Ukrainian Engineers of America, where he has held the position of president several times. For 2 years, he was president of the Ukrainian Self-Reliance Federal Credit Union Samopomich in Philadelphia, and served on the board of directors of this institution for 22 years. As vice president of the credit union, Mr. Zakharchuk made efforts to get the credit union to fund $154,000 for the construction of the main hall in the Ukrainian Center. During his time on the board of directors of UECC, Mr. Zakharchuk founded the center's television and radio programs. The radio program continues to air after 25 years, spreading news about and from Ukraine. Mr. Zakharchuk also proposed and started the Phonathon fundraising program during the presidential tenure of Dr. Chetnik. With the participation of numerous volunteers, the Phonathon brought the center more than $1 million, of which $500,000 debt was paid off for the center. President Zakharchuk began the practice of publishing UECC annual reports. Under his leadership, the quarterly bilingual newsletter, the Center Bulletin, began. Also during his term, the annual celebrations of the Independence Day of Ukraine began. During Mr. Zakharchuk's presidency, the UECC was able to obtain numerous grants that were used in running the center's various programs, most notably for the development of the public service program. Boris Zakharchuk championed the showcasing of Ukrainian culture in the greater Philadelphia area and sponsored the arrival of numerous Ukrainian artists from Ukraine and Europe. He opened the doors of the center to various American schools which, by renting the center's premises, provided financial income. Among them were the Metropolitan Ballet Company and Jean's Daycare Center. He also supported the merging of schools of Ukrainian studies in Philadelphia. And under his patronage, Ridna Shkola and Nasha Ukrainska Shkola merged into one institution, today's Ukrainian Heritage School. In September of 2010, the UECC Board of Directors dedicated the Boris Zakharchuk Grand Hall in recognition of his long dedication to the mission of the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center in both communal work and financial support. Boris Zakharchuk and his wife Zvinka have been married for 62 years. They have a son, Danilo, with wife Ksenia Panchak, and children Sofia and Luka, as well as a daughter, Olena, with husband George Kurivchak and sons Danilo and Boris Khabursky. Boris and Zvinka continue to financially support the UECC as they believe that the UECC unites the Ukrainian community of the Philadelphia area while supporting our Ukrainian heritage and should therefore be preserved for future generations.
We'd like to welcome the Prometheus Ukrainian Male Chorus. Under the direction of Roman Kucharsky, accompanied by Irene Pelik-Svaric, the Prometheus Ukrainian Male Chorus of Philadelphia has long been a supporter of the UECC. Having been one of the first organizations to move its operations to the center, the chorus has since held its weekly practices here and has performed countless times at various events held at and sponsored by the UECC. The members look forward to resuming activities at some point later this year in preparation for Prometheus' 60th anniversary next year. Вітаємо український чоловічий хор «Прометей».
Mykola Luty was born in Ivano-Frankivsk, Ukraine. He finished technical school and went on to fight for his homeland in World War II. He was a soldier in the Ukrainian division and later in the Ukrainian National Army. After the war, Mr. Luty immigrated to England, where he married. He and his wife Doris then moved to Canada and ultimately settled in Philadelphia in 1953. Mr. Luty established his own business, Luty Machine Company, which manufactured machines purchased and used by formidable food companies such as Mrs. Smith's Pies, Kellogg's, and Entenmann's, and were exported to Europe as well. Mr. Luty held several patents. His beloved hobby was photography. During his time at the UECC, he used his favorite activity to document life at the UECC in photomontages. Mr. Luty was very generous with his time and mechanical talents. He was of great assistance in bringing the newly purchased 1930s building to readiness for use by the Ukrainian community and continued this work as head of the building committee for 19 years. Mr. Luty served on the UECC board of directors for 8 years. It was at Mr. Luty's initiative that the UECC donor boards were created and displayed in the hall of the building outside of the center's main office. He took great pride in engraving the donors' names onto brass plates himself at no cost to the UECC. Unfortunately, Mr. Luty's life was unexpectedly cut short in August of 1999. He was devoted to the Ukrainian community and to the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center in particular, up until that time. Alexander Mikhailuk was born in Radivilo, Ukraine. He earned a diploma in international trade in Vienna, Austria. From 1948 to 1984, he worked as an industrial engineer for Alir Corporation, setting work norms for over 300 workers. Mr. Mikhailuk settled in Philadelphia in 1947. He was an active member of the Ukrainian American Senior Citizen Society from its inception, serving as president for several years. One of his chief responsibilities in the society was overseeing social services for its members. Mr. Mikhailuk was a member of the board of directors of the UECC for 14 years. During much of that time, he served as board secretary. Upon the untimely death of President Mykola Luty, Alexander Mikhailuk assumed the role of UECC board president. He led the board for a short 3 months, ensuring stability of the institution until the annual meeting in the fall of 1999.
Thank you to the Metropolitan Ballet Academy and Company for their beautiful performance. Metropolitan Ballet Academy and Company is a nationally recognized school of classic ballet, named by Point Magazine as one of 7 local studios in America cultivating top talent. Founded at the Ukrainian Educational Cultural Center in 1996, Metropolitan celebrates its 25th anniversary in 2021. Metropolitan provides classical training for students ages 3 through 18, nurtures the creative abilities of young people, and through performances, community outreach, and scholarship programs, promotes an appreciation of dance for all. Noted for its high-caliber faculty, successful alumni, and acclaimed boys' scholarship program, Metropolitan has 4 times been honored with the Youth America Grand Prix Outstanding School Award. Our next former president we'd like to honor is Mrs. Petrusia Savchuk.
Patricia Petrusia Kotyubailo Savchuk was born in Philadelphia in 1940 into a very patriotic Ukrainian-American family. She attended St. Basil Academy and graduated from Temple University with a Bachelor in Science in Education and later a Master's equivalency with majors in English and Social Studies. During college, Mrs. Savchuk was active in several Ukrainian national and local organizations. After graduation, she became a teacher and continued in that role for 35 years, primarily as a high school English teacher in the Philadelphia School District, teaching grades 9 through 12 at Dobbins AVT High School. There, Mrs. Savchuk was also a sponsor of the Flame and Steel Yearbook, which consistently won many national and state awards. She was a member of the UECC Board of Directors for more than 25 years, participating on various committees and serving as president for 2 years. During her tenure as president, Mrs. Savchuk's philosophy was to advance the Ukrainian culture with the Ukrainian community, and at the same time, promote the center as a home for all Ukrainians and as a hub for all Ukrainian American activities. One of Mrs. Savchuk's important initiatives as president was to improve the UECC's digital communication. As a result, the center established a website and an email address. She also wrote numerous articles about the events held at the center for the America and the Ukrainian weekly newspapers. Another important achievement was obtaining Pennsylvania's sales tax exemption status, which has saved the center a considerable amount of money over the years. Mrs. Savchuk was also very proud that the center promoted the arts with productions of a children's operetta and a second Ukrainian culture outreach program at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. She was also instrumental in having the gallery renamed in honor of Dr. Alexander Chadnick at a special dedication ceremony and gala reception in 2001. Before her role as president, she was the chair of the UECC Grant Committee for many years. With her leadership, the UECC obtained many grants that helped finance many much-needed improvements, such as a lift that made the UECC accessible to all visitors. Later, Mrs. Savchuk was involved with 2 other major projects: the UECC 30th Anniversary Book Committee as English editor and co-chair of 2 very successful outdoor Ukrainian festivals. Presently, Mrs. Savchuk serves on the executive board of the Ukrainian National Women's League of America, UNWLA, Philadelphia Regional Council, and member of the UNWLA Branch 88. She is also on the English editorial staff of the UNWLA magazine Nasze Życie, Our Life. She is also an active member of the Ukrainian American Senior Citizens Association. Petrusia and her husband Yurko have been married for 56 years and have 2 daughters, Tatiana Savchuk and daughters Ariadna and Juliet Lower, and daughter Lida and husband Don Kopach and their daughter Katya.
Please welcome Akolada Chamber Choir. Under the direction of Bogdan Gingalo, Akolada Chamber Choir was established 20 years ago. The choir has participated in over 100 concerts, performances, and festivals all over the East Coast, as well as in Lviv and Kyiv, Ukraine. The choir has distinguished itself with innovative style and musical excellence. Bogdan Gingalo was awarded the honorary title of Honored Artist of Ukraine. Our center has served as a home base for the choir for many years now. Вітаємо камерний хор «Аколада».
Hey everyone, Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick here, and I'm glad to be with you today to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center, a place near and dear to my heart. And I would like to start by commending members and friends of the Ukrainian American community for organizing a ceremony to honor this milestone event. This center has been a focal point for Ukrainian education and culture for 40 years and has enriched the lives of countless Delaware Valley residents. And while I was stationed in Ukraine with the FBI, I had the fortunate opportunity to experience the special culture and community of the Ukrainian people. Carrying out missions in Ukraine shaped my view of the evolving situation in Eastern Europe and ultimately drove me to join the Congressional Ukraine Caucus as co-chair during my very first time in Congress. I can tell you without a doubt that our close ties to Ukraine matter, and they matter now more than ever. Members of the United States House of Representatives from both parties understand the challenges that Ukraine faces, and we will continue to provide the resources and support necessary. Ukraine has the right to chart its own course. Ukraine has the right to security, and Ukraine has the right to protect itself. The United States will always be a willing partner, ally, and friend. In closing, I thank and commend you for all of the good work that you have done and will continue to do. Know that I will continue to have this center's back in the years to come, and congratulations again on this tremendous milestone. God bless.
I wish we could be celebrating this anniversary together in person. Yet I am confident we will be together again soon. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. In particular, thank you to Natalie Fairco, the center's president, and to the center's advisory committee for your invitation and, importantly, for your work in the community. As the congresswoman of this congressional district, which is home to the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center, and as a proud member of the Congressional Ukrainian Caucus, I am delighted to congratulate you and the center on 40 years of dedicated service to the community and to each other. While many community organizations have struggled with a decline in volunteerism, the UECC has managed not only to survive, but to thrive, thanks to the work of successive generations of volunteers who recognize the unique role that this institution plays. Every time I meet with members of the Ukrainian American community, I am moved by your care for Ukraine and its culture, the attention you pay to the latest developments, the concern you show for your loved ones, the hopes you kindle in your children for the nation, and the growth of its democratic institutions, its personal and patriotic, all at once. It is inspiring. And the center is a focal point for this community. This space serves multiple generations and allows community members to find social, cultural, and institutional connections to other Ukrainian Americans. Some are new arrivals transitioning in a new land, and others are the children or even the grandchildren of immigrants who have found comfortable new homes in the United States, even as their cultural ties to Ukraine remain strong. The center offers all of them a place where they can feel they belong. The dozens of organizations that are this community's infrastructure thrive here because the center gives them a welcoming space to operate and provides the connections that makes each one of them more successful and better able to serve the needs of this multi-generational community. I also join the center in recognizing the Ukrainian Self-Reliance Federal Credit Union for its long-standing financial support of the center and its constituent organizations. With the support of institutions such as the credit union and with your individual support and engagement, I am confident the center will continue to serve this community for another 40 years and beyond. Again, I thank you very much for the honor of being with you today.
Hi, it's Congressman Brendan Boyle here. Happy birthday. 40 years. You don't look a day over 39. And I say that as a 44-year-old. But seriously, 4 decades that UECC has been there preserving Ukrainian cultural heritage. There's nothing more American than that. As a son of an immigrant myself, I know how important these sorts of cultural centers are. When I represented the center for 4 years in Congress, I was so proud and would brag to everyone that the Cultural Center was in my district. It's institutions like UECC that encourage immigrants to become part of the fabric of our communities. And most of all, it gives them a feeling like they truly belong here in America. Now, as many of you know, I have long been proud to call myself a friend of Ukraine. I'm so proud to represent all of you and such a vibrant and growing community of Ukrainian Americans. And I promise you, I will not stop fighting in support of our ally, Ukraine. Defending its sovereignty has always been one of my top priorities. I truly believe that the United States benefits from a strong, independent, and free Ukraine. Whether it's introducing legislation to increase Ukraine's cybersecurity capabilities, or making sure Ukrainian soldiers get the tools they need to fight aggression, I have proud to have been there as an advocate and will continue to do so. The UECC should be very proud of all that you've accomplished for 4 decades, keeping the culture alive, the language. It's just crucial. So in closing, I want to share very good news with you. This August, I will be going to Ukraine as part of a congressional delegation. I'm very excited, and I look forward to getting my feet on the ground there this summer. And I look forward to discussing my experience with all of you when I come back. So again, happy birthday. Congratulations on the 4 decades.
On behalf of the Ukrainian community of the greater Philadelphia area, thank you, Congressman Boyle, Congressman Fitzpatrick, and Congresswoman Dean, for your recognition and support of our community and her needs. We appreciate the attention you have given and continue to give to our causes. Thank you for taking the time to greet us during our 40th celebration.
Boris Polyuk, a mechanical engineer and community activist, was born July 24, 1940 in the city of Brody, Галичина, Ukraine. He immigrated to Germany in 1944 and to the United States in 1950. He received a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a master's degree from University of Massachusetts. In 1972, he also graduated from the University of Connecticut with a master's degree in business administration. Boris Polyuk worked at United Technologies, Pratt & Whitney Aircraft Engines, and several other engineering firms as project manager, supervisory engineer, director of engineering, achieving positions of chief engineer at Raytheon Engineers and Constructors, then vice president and general manager at RE&C Chicago Operations. Mr. Polyuk's professional affiliations include the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Industrial Society of Pharmaceutical Engineers, and the Ukrainian Engineers Society of America. Boris Polyuk's community service is centered around Ukrainian interests. Throughout the years, Mr. Polyuk honed his leadership skills as head of scout organizations in Philadelphia, then as commandant of the Ukrainian Scouts USA, national head of PLAST USO USA, and head of the PLAST Conference Governing Board, resulting in his being honored for his leadership achievements with the highest PLAST award, the St. George Medal in Gold. He also enlisted his services with the United American Ukrainian Relief Committee, becoming a board member and then a vice president. Most notably, Mr. Polyuk served as a board member of the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center in Philadelphia from 1980 to 1994, then 2002 to 2005, ultimately being elected as president of the UECC, serving from 2006 to 2013. During Boris Polyuk's 7-year presidency of the UECC, Svitlichka expanded to a daily program, including Saturdays. Kitchen services for members were initiated, Malanka Cruise was sponsored, earning over $20,000, and a phonathon brought in more than $93,000. Mr. Polyuk formed the UECC Strategic Planning Committee, and in 2008 obtained permits which allowed UECC to open a branch of Ukrainian Self-Reliance Federal Credit Union in the center. The first Ukrainian festival took place on UECC grounds, netting $25,000. And Mr. Polyuk encouraged the UAV Post Number 1 to establish an honor roll in the lobby. The 30th anniversary of the UECC was celebrated under his watch, including the publication of a commemorative book which serves as the basis for this 40th anniversary. But as we all know, the UECC building needs maintenance, and so Boris Poluk initiated many different repairs. In turn, work began on the remodeling of restrooms in the Grand Hall. The rear entrance of the Svitlichka and the corridor of the main floor were rebuilt. The entrance to the Grand Hall was reconstructed, where a new floor and new lights were installed. The roof over the school and the auditorium were repaired. The main entrance to the building has been modernized. New doors inserted. Room number 114 was remodeled and renamed after Ivan Kozemsky. Mr. Poluk signed a contract to install a chairlift for the disabled. These are just a few of his contributions while president of UECC. In October 2013, Boris Poluk passed the baton and his distinctive example of leadership to the Ukrainian next younger generation. Retirement gave Mr. Poluk the opportunity to spend more time with his wife Nila, 3 sons, and 6 grandchildren.
Дякуємо соловейкам за ваш чудовий виступ. Соловейки, under the direction of Helena Bodnar, accompanied by Luba Striko, is a children's singing group that welcomes children to the world of music and harmony for over 5 years now. Solовейки has always added so much richness and color to our many events at the Ukrainian Educational Cultural Center, one of which you recently enjoyed. The next former presidents and today's honorees are Ms. Sofia Koropecka and Mrs. Andrea Żerowski.
Sofia Koropecka has been involved in numerous Ukrainian organizations from a young age, starting with Plast, Ukrainian Scouting Organization, as a member, troop leader, counselor, and camp scribe. In college, at the University of Pennsylvania, she was a member of the Ukrainian Club and eventually club president. While in graduate school at the University of Michigan, Ms. Koropecka did research work for then University of Michigan history professor Roman Shporluk. After graduate school and a move to New Jersey, Ms. Koropecka did administrative work at the Ukrainian Academy of Arts and Sciences in New York City and prepared the index for the quinquennial series on Ukrainian economics published by Harvard University. After moving back to the Philadelphia area, Ms. Koropetska became actively involved with the Ukrainian Human Rights Committee and as a board member of Svitlichka, Ukrainian Cooperative Nursery School, the Ukrainian Heritage School, Norsh, and the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center. As a member of the UECC Board of Directors, Ms. Koropetska had many roles, including secretary, head of the Finance Committee, treasurer, and finally, president. During her two-term presidency, much of the activity of the center involved holding numerous events tied to Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity, coordinating with and strengthening relationships with organizations that use the center, assisting in the establishment of the Ukrainian Learning Center for Children, Svitlichka, as a program of the UECC, and working on bringing the Milestone Academy to the center. Ms. Koropetska has worked for Moody's Analytics for over 25 years, where she is currently managing director of the Economic Research Unit. Ms. Koropetska is married to Bogdan Pazunyak. The couple has two sons, Roman and Orest, and a granddaughter named Ida. Mr. Pazunyak is currently a UECC board member, and Ms. Koropetska continues to volunteer her time for the UECC as well as financially support its fundraising efforts. Andrea Poretko-Żerowska was born in Philadelphia and graduated from the Pratt Institute with a Bachelor of Fine Arts, Art and Design Education major. Upon return to Philadelphia after studying in Brooklyn, New York, she spent several years teaching English in Ternopil, Ukraine. Mrs. Żerowska became a member of the UECC Board of Directors in January 2005 and served in various capacities until January 2019. During her first year on the UECC board, she became the press committee chair, responsible for announcing and sharing information about the UECC, cultivating and maintaining relationships with Ukrainian and local media, and producing over 320 articles and press releases highlighting UECC and community events. In 2007, Mrs. Żerowska became the UECC website committee chair and webmaster. In this position, she created, launched, and maintained an online presence with the UECC website, www.ueccphila.org. In 2008, Mrs. Żerowska became Vice President of the Marketing and Communications sector, responsible for multiple committees. From 2008 through 2014, Mrs. Żerowska's diverse duties included managing, analyzing, developing, and implementing new procedures for the press, website, public relations, and archive committees. During this time, she also developed advertising and promotions for events and programs of the UECC. In 2014, she became the Vice President of the Building sector, whose duties included weekly walkthroughs of the facility, developing and implementing new procedures for the maintenance staff, along with managing building projects. In 2015, Mrs. Żerowska was elected President of the UECC Board of Directors. Throughout the years Mrs. Żerowska served on the board at the UECC, she interacted with various community groups and organizations, coordinated numerous projects ranging from musical programs for Christmas and Easter bazaars to representing the UECC with Ukrainian diplomats. She aptly chaired and co-chaired many events, including cartoon festivals, Ukrainian Children's Day, the Malanka Cruise, many Lviv cabarets, the International Music Festival, and several Christmas and Easter bazaars. Mrs. Żerowska's crowning achievement at the UECC is her involvement in getting the Svitlichka Cooperative Nursery School licensed as a daycare facility in February of 2015. The preparation for this included compiling required documents and getting the physical space license ready, which took over a year. The Ukrainian Learning Center for Children, ULCC, as it is now officially known, serves the Ukrainian community by providing a daily program for parents to fully immerse children in the Ukrainian culture, heritage, tradition, and language with multicultural awareness and respect for diversity. It is a daily program serving children from 12 months to 5 years of age. Mrs. Żarowska stepped away from the UECC Board of Directors in 2018 and currently serves as the ULCC Director. In that capacity, she is responsible for preparing the daycare facility for annual inspections, maintaining current staff documentation, and applying for grants and additional funding.
А тепер просимо до слова президента Українського конгресового комітету Америки Андрія Футея.
Дорогі члени Українського освітнього культурного центру, краєва екзекутива Українського конгресового комітету Америки сердечно вітає вас з нагоди 40-ї річниці заснування Українського освітнього культурного центру у Філадельфії. З нагоди свята бажаємо вам сил, наснаги і успіхів у вашій дальшій праці для добра української громади у Філадельфії. Ми високо цінимо ваш великий вклад у громаду Філадельфії і її околиць. Ваш центр – це домівка для різних поколінь, для різних хвиль. Тут проводяться різноманітні соціальні заходи та освітні і культурні програми, які сприяють розвитку історії, культури та мистецтва і є надзвичайно важливими для того, щоб допомогти нашій громаді підтримувати і зберегти унікальну українську спадщину і культуру. Ще раз щиро вітаємо вас з приводу 40-літнього ювілею та бажаємо вам успіхів у праці для добра української громади у Філадельфії та миру і щастя українського народу на рідних землях. Низький уклін і подяка всім, хто трудився і трудиться для добра центру. На многі і благі літа вам.
Дякуємо українському чоловічому народному хору «Дзвін» за їх прекрасний виступ. «Дзвін» was started in March 2009 and is currently under the direction of Nestor Kazimishyn. The choir has performed at many prestigious events throughout their history, such as performing for the Ukrainian ambassador and embassy staff in Washington, D.C., at numerous Ukrainian festivals in Philadelphia, United States, and Canada. Throughout Dзвін's history, they've had a special relationship with the UECC. Dзвін has performed at the UECC multiple times, and it also serves as Dзвін's home base for choir practice for well over 6 years. Our next and final honoree is Mrs. Natalia Firko.
Natalka Panchak-Firko was born in New Jersey, but was active in the Ukrainian community in Philadelphia. After graduating from Rutgers College with a Bachelor of Arts in English and Communications in 1990, she moved to Philadelphia to pursue her career in public relations. Mrs. Firko attended the Ridna Shkola Ukrainian school and graduated as a maturant from the then newly established Ukrainian Heritage School, located in the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center. She is a lifelong member of PLAST, Ukrainian Scouting Organization, where she has held many leadership roles, both locally and nationally. At the age of 11, Mrs. Firko learned to play the tsimbale, the hammered dulcimer, for Mr. Dmitro Sorkhanyuk. She was a member of the Cheremosh Hutzul dance group, where she played the tsimbale as part of the band. Mrs. Firko, herself a graduate of Svitlichka Ukrainian Cooperative Nursery School, put her 2 children through the program. During that time, she served as president of the parent board for many years. Mrs. Firko was an active member of all the organizations in which her children participated. She served on the parent board of the Ukrainian Heritage School for 12 years, twice serving as the head of the graduating class parent committee. She supported Trizub, Ukrainian American Sports Club, for close to 15 years as team manager and event volunteer. Natalka Firko knows community service well. She comes from a family that devotes its time to the Ukrainian community. Her grandparents and parents were active members of Ukrainian Women's League of America, UNWLA, the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, Trizub, Ukrainian American Sports Club, Svitlichka, Prometei, Plast, and the Board of Directors of the UECC. Ukrainian community service runs in Natalka Firko's blood. In 1994, Mrs. Firko joined the Board of Directors of the UECC. For most of her time on the board, she served as Vice President and Chair of the Program Sector and oversaw all events, fundraisers, and friendraisers at the center. This work entailed organizing committee members, volunteers, and community representatives. In 2018, Mrs. Firko was elected President of the Board of Directors. Thus far in her tenure, Mrs. Firko engaged in the planning of the celebration of the enthronement of His Grace Archbishop Boris Gudziak on behalf of the UECC. She has overseen the UECC website renewal, the improvement of the parking lot lighting, the construction of an outdoor lit sign with the help of funds from the credit union, coordinated sponsorship of outdoor benches, the completion of the clubroom renovation, the rejuvenation of the UECC Strategic Planning Committee, the enhancement of the UECC marketing and advertising by establishing a firm digital existence through weekly newsletter e-blasts, Instagram postings, and text messaging through the electronic application CardTap. Much of the aforementioned was accomplished during 2020 and 21, during the COVID-19 worldwide pandemic. Mrs. Firko rallied the board of directors, office staff, and building workers to create a virtual presence for the UECC during this trying time. She and her volunteer co-workers were able to strengthen relationships with other organizations and the community at large by offering potential for cooperative advertising and functions while maintaining a safe environment for all. Natalka is married to Stefan Firko. They have 2 sons, Alexander and Zachary, that they raised to be proud Ukrainian Americans.
Hello, everyone. There is something very special I would like to show you. Come with me. As you know, this is the Cheremosh room, which has been extensively renovated, everything except one area. And here we are. The current board of directors has something very special planned for this area. As we speak, our resident artist Ridna Shkola is creating memorable plaques that will permanently honor our past UEC presidents on this wall. Ridna Shkola готує керамічні плитки у гуцульському стилі, котрі будуть розміщені на цій стіні на віки вічні. Ось взірець гуцульського виробництва, але наші плитки, хоча трошки подібні, будуть особливо пам'яткові і значні, бо вони матимуть назву кожного бувшого президента центру та роки їхньої каденції. Speaking on behalf of our board of directors, it is our fondest wish that as this Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center continues to flourish, we will never cease adding commemorative nameplates to this wall. Just one more thing about these plaques. The last one is reserved for our current president, Natalia Firko. I would like to ask Natalia to come join me for a moment. I know she's here somewhere. Hi, Natalia. I will also ask the board members that happen to be here today, because also are filming, to please join us as well.
Talu, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Ukrainian Educational Cultural Center, please accept this token of appreciation from us.
За твої надзвичайні темпераменти, за твоє керівництво. Спеціально в останньому році, бо останній цей рік був особливо тяжкий для нас усіх. Твій провід і підтримка в дійсності для кожної і кожного із нас. Нам це дає змогу тобі сказати, як ми тебе шануємо. Now, I know this is a little unexpected, surprising, and you don't have to say anything unless you want to. But what we would like to say from our hearts is that you know that we love you, we appreciate you, every single member of the board, your friends and colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Дякуємо. I couldn't do this alone, and anyone who thinks they could is very wrong. I could not be the president of the Ukrainian Center without a dedicated board, and here's only a sampling of our dedicated board. Without teamwork, we wouldn't be successful. So I am grateful to all of you, and I thank you for this honor and this surprise that I wasn't ready for. So thank you.
And the beautiful flowers.
And the beautiful flowers.
Aren't they gorgeous?
Thank you. Дякую. The Ukrainian Self-Reliance Federal Credit Union, UKRFCU, has been the primary financial services provider to thousands of Ukrainian Americans and hundreds of Ukrainian organizations in the greater Philadelphia area for over 65 years. The UKRFCU is a full-service financial institution that provides its members with multiple savings and lending options and financial education so that they can make informed personal finance decisions. Ultimately, the UKRFCU is deeply committed to its membership and in helping them achieve their financial goals while building lifelong partnerships. UKRFCU values community development through employee volunteerism and financial support by way of donations and sponsorships. Investing in youth and in community events is just as important as continued support of its legacy organizations and institutions. the UKRFCU continues to be a proud sponsor of the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center and invites the community to visit its conveniently located branch in the UECC. When you hear UKRFCU, we Ukrainians think Samopomich Kredityuka. It has been the longest running supporter, lifetime friend, and partner of our center. Credit unions are nonprofit institutions of a cooperative nature that work to serve their members, and our Kredityuka has certainly done that. It has supported our many fundraisers, among them the Phonathon, numerous raffles and lotteries, as well as our annual events such as the Easter and Christmas bazaars, outdoor festivals, casino nights, Ukrainian Children's Day, and many, many more. I cannot remember a time when Kredityuka was not present at a community event organized by the UECC. There is a saying, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Kredityuka has taught the leadership of the UECC to fish. In offering matching donations, the credit union pushed the center to work hard to raise money in creative ways. Over the years, Kredityuka has rewarded us in matching fund donations totaling approximately $45,000. The credit union has also been committed to helping us with their capital improvement projects. Its donations in this category total approximately $350,000 to date. Such projects include HVAC systems, new rain drainage systems and concrete walkway in the front of our building, double-paned windows in the library, new heat pumps and air handlers, plumbing repair in our Svitlichka wing, and so many more projects. In addition to our partnership on events and projects, the UKRFCU made sure it showered us with gifts of money with no strings attached. These gifts account for over $450,000. I am humbled and proud to announce that the UKRFCU has supported the Ukrainian Center with just under $1 million as of today. We are grateful for the belief the UKRFCU leadership has in us, their trust in all of the UECC presidents, including myself, and in all of our board of directors to manage the community center in a fiscally responsible manner. In November of 2009, the UKRFCU opened up a branch in the center, bringing it even closer to our community. Its hours of operation coincided with ours, which means it is available to our Hromada whenever our Hromada is in the center. Ours is a truly symbiotic relationship, and for that we are genuinely grateful. Today, on behalf of my board of directors, as well as on behalf of all of the previous year's boards of directors, I thank you and pay tribute to the Ukrainian Self-Reliance Federal Credit Union, its board and presidents for their very generous support of the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center, Nash Center, Nash Dім.
Дякую, пані Наталко, for your kind words. We are truly grateful to have such a wonderful partner in our work on behalf of the community. This has been an incredibly difficult year for all of us, but especially for institutions like the UECC that thrive on the physical events that give our lives joy. I could not help but remark at how, despite the pandemic, the center has continued to move forward. Natalka Firko and her board of directors deserve enormous credit for the ways in which they have risen to the challenges of the last year. It has been inspiring to see people determined to keep our community institutions alive and functioning, even in the face of the pandemic. As Pani Natalka noted in her remarks, UKRFCU is a not-for-profit, nezarobitkova ustanova. It's a financial institution that exists to serve the needs of its members. And we do that in part by providing them top-flight financial services. But as important as the financial services is our support for the organizations and institutions that help our members feel they have a pritulok, a place of warmth and shelter in a new land. This dual mission is something that comes to us effortlessly because it is who we have been for more than 65 years. Kredityuka was one of the founding members of the UECC when visionaries like Dr. Alexander Chernik, Boris Zakharchuk, and others created this organization 40 years ago, and we are here today. And I don't mean just as an institutional presence. Our employees, our managers, our board of directors are an integral part of this wonderful home for the Ukrainian American community. You have seen us at the center's events. Це є наш center. This is our center. You have seen us working alongside other members of the community as volunteers, helping at bazaars and festivals. You have seen us at Plast events, at Zoom events, at Yazykata Jezva. Our children belong to the youth organizations. They bring their student saver deposits to our UECC branch. Anatoly Murha and his staff provide financial literacy to your and our Ukrainian Heritage School students. Our people sing in the choirs, and they perform in and support the theatrical ensembles and dance ensembles. We share your hopes, and we share your worries for the center and its future. In short, we are the center, and the center is us. On behalf of UKRFCU, its staff, its managers, its president and CEO Mary Kolodi, and its board of directors, we congratulate you, and we look forward to sharing the center's 50th anniversary and many more after that with you, but this time in person. Mnohaya lita.
Фінальний виступ нашої програми – танцювальний ансамбль «Волошки». Volozhki Ukrainian Dance Ensemble represents Ukrainian culture through dance. Volozhki's unique blend of styles has positioned the company as a leading cultural ambassador, simultaneously representing Ukrainian arts and the rich dynamic pluralism of the United States. Volozhki is dedicated to fostering and promoting cultural exchanges between Ukrainians and the global community. Volozhki partners with the leading professional artists and orchestras in Ukraine and in the United States. 40 years ago, Volozhki proudly joined the initiative of the newly created UECC and supported the design and construction of the dedicated dance studios. Volozhki is celebrating their 50th anniversary next year. Taras Levitsky has been the artistic director of Volozhki since 1995. Запрошуємо танцювальний ансамбль Волошки «Гопак».
A big thank you to our board of directors and our community. We applaud you for supporting our center for over 40 years, and we're only looking forward to what the future has in store for the Ukrainian Educational and Cultural Center, our community home. As always, we are very grateful to our members and our donors. We are appreciative of everyone who helped make this celebration a success. Велика подяка Раді директорів центру та нашій спільноті. Ми дякуємо вам за підтримку нашого центру понад 40 років, і ми надіємося на дальше процвітання нашого українського центру. Як завжди, ми дуже вдячні своїм членам, добровольцям, спонсорам, жертводавцям. Ми вдячні всім, хто допоміг зробити це свято вдалим.
Thank you for joining us for our virtual 40th anniversary celebration. The recording for this event is available on our website as well as our social media outlets. As a reminder, our program book is available on the UECC website. Дякуємо, що приєдналися до нас на віртуальне святкування 40-ліття Українського освітньо-культурного центру. As in Ukrainian tradition, we'd like to end our celebration with the singing of Mnohaya Lita, which will be performed by the Ukrainian Bandurist Chorus of North America. Driven by passion, tradition, and history, the Ukrainian Bandurist Chorus of North America, Українська капеля бандуристів Північної Америки імені Тараса Шевченка, preserves and exemplifies its mission as ambassadors of Ukrainian culture, music, and the unique 60-stringed instrument, the bandura. Since it was first formed more than a century ago, the bandurista continue to make history with ongoing international concerts, an education program for youth, new recordings, and new talent. Conducted by Maestro Oleg Makhlai, the UBC has joined our program today. Ми б хотіли завершити наше свято співом «Многая літа», яке виконує Українська капеля бандуристів Північної Америки імені Тараса Шевченка.
Адже до ями на смерть на бою, бій за вітчизну, поляж головою, за Україну вперед, вперед.